You are about to spend $70,000 on a German SUV engineered to self-destruct. I am not talking about wear and tear, I am talking about deliberate design choices that mechanics call financial death sentences. Touchscreens that control your brakes. Air suspension that costs more to fix than the car is worth. Turbo engines with timing chains that snap at 60,000 miles. By the end of this video, you will know exactly what is hiding inside that showroom model and why the dealership hopes you never hear this. Quick thing before we get into this. The data on this channel shows that over 80% of you watching right now are not subscribed. That means you are showing up for the content, but the algorithm has no reason to show you the next video. If you care about protecting yourself from the most expensive buying mistakes in the automotive market right now, hit subscribe so you do not miss the next one. Let us start with what used to be under the dashboard. Open the door of a German SUV from 2005. You would find physical climate knobs, a tactile radio dial, analog gauges behind real glass, and a separate set of buttons for every function. Each one cost a few dollars to replace if it broke. Now open the door of a 2026 model. The entire dashboard is a glass screen. BMW calls it iDrive. Mercedes calls it MBUX. Audi calls it MMI. They all do the same thing. They consolidate 30 individual physical controls into a single fragile touchscreen that costs $3,000 to $6,000 to replace when it fails. And it will fail. Owners on BMW and Mercedes forums are already reporting screen blackouts, ghost touches, and complete system freezes on vehicles barely out of warranty. When that screen goes dark, you lose your climate control, your seat adjustment, your driving mode selection, and in some vehicles, your parking camera and navigation. The car becomes effectively undrivable until a dealer replaces the module. That is point one. They replace 30 cheap fixable switches with one expensive fragile screen and called it an upgrade. Point two is worse. Every premium German SUV sold today, the BMW X5, the Mercedes GLE, the Audi Q7, the Porsche Cayenne, offers or includes AIR suspension. The marketing departments call it adaptive ride comfort. Here is what they do not tell you. Air suspension systems use rubber bladders, an electric compressor, and a network of sensors and solenoids to adjust ride height. Rubber degrades, compressors burn out. When one air spring fails, the computer drops the entire vehicle into limp mode. It limits your speed and locks the ride height at its lowest position. The repair bill for a single air strut on a BMW X5 runs $1,200 to $2,000 at the dealer. When the compressor fails, add another $1,500. A complete set of 4 struts plus the compressor can exceed $6,000 in parts and labor. These components typically start failing between 80,000 and 120,000 miles, which is exactly when the factory warranty has expired and the depreciation has already cut the car's value in half. Compare that to the steel coil spring suspension on a 2005 BMW X5 or a first-generation Porsche Cayenne with the steel spring option. Those springs last the life of the vehicle. A replacement shock absorber costs $150. There is no compressor to fail because there is no compressor. There is no rubber bladder to crack because there is no bladder. The car just works. But the new models do not give you that option because the air suspension is standard, and when it fails, the dealership makes thousands. Owners are facing $5,000 to $8,000 suspension rebuilds on vehicles that are barely worth $15,000. The math does not work. The car is financially totaled by a rubber bladder. Mechanics know this. That is why the aftermarket sells coil spring conversion kits for every one of these platforms. $500 in parts and a weekend of labor to permanently eliminate the most expensive failure point on the vehicle. But the dealership will never mention that option because they make their money when the air suspension fails, not when you bypass it. Point 3. The engines. 20 years ago, German SUVs came with naturally aspirated 6-cylinder and 8-cylinder engines that produced power through displacement and engineering. They revved freely, they ran cool, and they lasted 200,000 miles or more without major intervention. Today, every German manufacturer has downsized to small, turbocharged engines to meet emissions targets. BMW replaced its naturally aspirated 6 with a 2-litre turbocharged 4-cylinder in the X1 and X3. Mercedes is putting the same 2-litre turbo 4 in the GLC 300 and the GLE 350. Vehicles that weigh close to 5,000 pounds. These tiny engines are running at extreme boost pressures to move heavy luxury SUVs, and they are running hot. Turbocharger seals degrade from constant heat cycling. Direct injection systems build carbon deposits on the intake valves because the fuel never washes over them like it did with port injection. By 50,000 miles, the valves on a direct injection German engine can be caked with hardite carbon deposits that choke airflow and reduce performance. The fix is a walnut blasting service that costs $400 to $800 and has to be repeated every 40,000 to 50,000 miles for the life of the vehicle. That is a maintenance cost that did not exist 10 years ago on a naturally aspirated engine with port injection. And the timing chains that replace timing belts are failing tens of thousands of miles before they should. BMW N63 Twin Turbo 5.8, the engine in the X5 and X7, became infamous for consuming oil, leaking coolant into the cylinders, and destroying itself before 100,000 miles. BMW issued technical service bulletin after technical service bulletin, but never recalled the engine. The M272 V6 that Mercedes used for years across its SUV lineup had a balance shaft sprocket that would wear prematurely and grenade the engine if not caught in time. Repair cost? $3,000 to $5,000. These are not edge cases. These are systemic engineering failures that affect thousands of vehicles, and the manufacturers know about every single one of them. Point 4. Even if nothing breaks mechanically, the manufacturers are reaching into your wallet through software. BMW tried charging $18 a month for heated seats that were already physically installed in the car. Mercedes charges $600 to $900 a year to unlock faster acceleration on electric models where the motor already has the power. Porsche charges hundreds of dollars per year for navigation and connected services. These companies have realized they do not make enough money selling you the vehicle once. They want to sell it to you every single month for as long as you own it. And when you try to fix the vehicle yourself or take it to an independent shop, the proprietary diagnostic software locks you out. A BMW key replacement costs over $500 at the dealer. A Mercedes battery swap requires the car's computer to be reprogrammed, which means a dealer visit and a labor charge. They have turned the German SUV into a subscription platform with wheels, and if you stop paying, they start disabling. So what do? You stop looking at the new lot, you start looking at the survivors. There is a specific window of German SUVs that have modern safety, but old-school mechanical reliability. Vehicles with naturally aspirated engines, conventional steel spring suspension, and physical controls you can touch and replace for a few dollars. Vehicles that independent mechanics can service without a dealer laptop and a software subscription. I have compiled a list of the specific German SUV models and years that are the last ones worth buying, the ones with naturally aspirated engines, steel spring suspension, and physical controls. The ones with 200,000-mile track records that mechanics buy for their own families. The ones that will still be running a decade from now, while the touchscreen-dependent, air-suspended, turbocharged models from the current showroom are sitting in the scrapyard waiting to be crushed. That video is coming next. Hit subscribe and ring the bell right now so you get notified the second it goes live. Stop paying $70,000 for a vehicle engineered to fail. Join the channel and I will see you in the next one.